Hello and welcome to the Infectious Group Podcast, part of the Odd Pods Media Network. Recorded at the 33 1/3 Music Appreciation Center in Speakeasy, located just outside of Detroit, Michigan. The Infectious Group Podcast is your source for jammy jams, music news, and the best in-depth music discussion. Thanks for joining us. Now here are your hosts.
Hello and welcome to the Infectious Group Podcast. Once again, it is Russ and Michelle and Kyle, and we are coming to you remotely this week and probably for the foreseeable future, but we'll get into some show information sooner than later. But we will be bringing you the podcast every week as planned. And this week, we are going to talk about bands that should have been bigger. Bands or artists that we feel should have been bigger, and we'll discuss the whole ins and outs of that, maybe why some of them weren't bigger, or if we even want them to be bigger, which is a whole discussion unto itself. Michelle, do you have any idea what we talked about last week by any stretch of the imagination?
Fun.
Well, yeah, narrow it down.
Some nights.
That should just be your answer every week and hope that you're right.
I was right this week.
You were right this week. Yes, we did an album review. It was my pick, and we did the album Some Nights by Fun. And when we did that, we ended up with a bunch of feedback, as we usually do. So let's get into it.
Feedback, Joe.
Don't worry about that. Right. There's rock and roll me without feedback.
Michelle, you didn't do your stunningly good impersonation of David Gilmour this week. You just...
So last week, I couldn't really hear it. So I was just like...
I see. Well,
doing my own version.
Would you like to enlighten everybody with your David Gilmour impersonation?
You can't just turn it on, man. It just happens organically.
I get it.
So no, I would not like to do it.
In the future, if you ever want to, a really easy David Gilmour impersonation to knock out is just complain about how Roger Waters is way better than you. And that's a really good way to impersonate him. So Roger
Waters is not better than me.
Oh boy, that's more. I think that might be the worst thing you've ever said about Pink Floyd to me. I could be wrong.
You think that Roger Waters is better than me?
I think Roger Waters is better than everyone. I think Roger Waters is better than me by like a scale of 10, and I think I'm better than you. So you know.
I'm gonna go.
Right. Speaking of Michelle, she is in our feedback, of course, with our first hashtag in the first piece of feedback that I'm going to share. Aaron from the I Had to Say It podcast says of our review of Some Nights by Fun. He says, once again, Russ put my thoughts into words about an album better than I could. And also, get it right, people. It's hashtag Michelle is great, not hashtag Michelle is awesome. So...
Can't we have it both ways?
You keep pressing for that, and I don't see why that you think that's okay. Kyle, can we get a ruling on that? You live with her. Does it have to be one or the other, or are you okay with both?
Nope, you only get one hashtag.
Yep, okay.
Someone's sleeping on the couch.
You know who's not sleeping on the couch is Dayton Johnson, who shares a lot of feedback with us. And Dayton says, I have been slacking off on my feedback, and for that I apologize. I'm going to work backwards through the first few episodes, or the last few episodes, so please be patient. First of all, congratulations to Michelle for remembering stuff. So, congratulations, Michelle. Michelle is awesome, he says. Your 1984 episodes were great. 84 holds such a special place in my heart. So many favorites for me were released that year. I was deep into hard rock and metal at that point. So you have Anthrax, Kiss, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Queensryche, all of their albums in the same year. Ride the Lightning was still my favorite Metallica album to date. Power Slave is arguably Iron Maiden's best. Then you add in all the pop music, and it's not even close for me. 1984 beats 1991 in my book. Next up.
Spoiler alert.
Well, no, he's not going to be on the episode. It's okay. I want to be clear, Michelle. It's okay for the audience to say their opinion. It's not okay for you to spoil our own episodes ahead of time.
Wait, so he spoiled our episode with his own opinion? I don't understand.
No one understands. So,
go on.
Dayton goes on and says, next up, I did give the Kanye album a try. That's a hard pass. He said, you know what, though? He says, I have a hard time with him, and it makes it hard to like his stuff. But, hey, I tried. Which, Dayton's not the only one. We had a lot of people that were like, oh, this is the greatest Kanye record. I'm glad you guys talked about this. Or, this one is close to my favorite or whatever. But we had at least a couple of listeners be like, this isn't even my thing, but I tried. Which is awesome. At least people gave it a shot.
Samesies.
To each their own. He's not the easiest pill to swallow. So.
Oh, yeah, that's for damn sure. Yeah, I mean, I go on about being an Axl Rose fan, so I'm familiar. with people who are hard to take. Lastly, rounding it out, Dayton says, I love the movie That Thing You Do. It's so much fun. It was easily in my top 5 music-related movies. You guys did such a great job on the episode. It was a lot of fun as always. Cameron Crowe's Almost Famous is a favorite of mine. I would love to hear what you guys think about that one. If you get a chance, check out Once from writer-director John Carney. It's a really good, and it focuses on 2 musicians in a budding friendship. He also did a movie, Begin Again, with Mark Ruffalo, and it points a finger at the state of the music industry. Anyways, I've gone on too long, but thank you for the weekly playlist. It's the best part of my Mondays. So,
I'm the best part of his Mondays?
The weekly playlist that was my idea that you barely execute on? Yes.
It was my idea that I put together. I spend my time and energy doing it. Yes, that's mine.
This might be the first time you've openly lied on the show. And I think that was it right there. I do want to say a couple of things of note, though. So have you guys ever seen Almost Famous?
Yes.
Okay. I've never seen this movie. Can you believe that? Like, people tell me...
We should just stop this now and you should go watch it.
People tell me all the time that I would love it. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do that as an episode. And then also, have either of you seen that movie Once? I know I've heard the single from it was huge, and I love that song, but I've never seen the film.
No,
I don't even know what that is.
I can hear that song and I can see the movie, like the movie poster in my head. But I've never seen it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And Michelle, it's one of those songs that no, I'm not going to sing it. But if I played the chorus right now, you would be like, "Oh, I totally know that song in movie," but I don't think you've ever seen the movie.
I definitely not seen the movie, but I don't even know what it is.
I see. Anthony, who I told you guys last week that this is probably my favorite Twitter handle of anybody that follows us, because his Twitter handle is Anthony, and then in parentheses it says Taylor's version. And I just every single time I see it, I laugh at it. Anthony did a couple of things for us this week. Number one, he retweeted our episode and tagged us in it and said, this week's episode of Infectious Group Podcast is a review of Some Nights by Fun. It piqued my interest to check the album out, and I want to see if one particular song is skip-worthy because I rarely skip tracks myself. Thanks so much, y'all, for the shout-out. So then Anthony did go and listen to Some Nights after he was like an album he wasn't even interested in until, we did a review of it. So Anthony went and listened to an album that he wasn't really interested in until we did our review, and that got him interested in it. So after he listened to the album, he then sent us these thoughts, which says, I listened to Some Nights about 3 times while I finished up work, and I have to say it's a really great album, except for that song, It Gets Better, which I love, because his initial reaction was, oh, I'm so interested in hearing if I'll skip that song, and then immediately he's like, yeah, It Gets Better is terrible.
Do you think we planted that seed in people, or do you think people just genuinely hate that song?
I think most people hate that song.
Can we talk to Nate about this?
I believe we can, yes. I mean, he's not doing anything, so we can try.
How do we do that?
Anthony goes on to say, I did let the song play 2 out of 3 times that I played the album, but it got worse every time I listened. Is it me, or does it just sound like they repeat this phrase, it gets better, for like 80% of that song? Honestly, the album could have done without that track, in my opinion. Otherwise, the rest of this album rocks. Some of my favorites are the Some Nights intro, the Some Nights full song, We Are Young, Carry On, and All Alright. I have to say that about the song Stars, that I really like it, but I don't like what they did to the vocals. It sounds like they used some sort of auto-tune. Whether that effect was for a reason or not, I've just never been a fan of that popping into songs. This is an album I can definitely listen to again. Great episode. Thanks, y'all. So a couple of things. First of all, as always, thank you so much for listening and promoting us on Twitter, and then going and listening to a record we recommended and giving us all those in-depth thoughts. That's all awesome stuff. And I think, Michelle, you'll probably remember this. When that record first came out, I was like really unhappy with the auto-tune that's on the record here and there. So I kind of felt the same way, but it just grew on me.
I was about to say, I feel like we didn't even talk about that because it's just there. And like, we've just come to accept it.
But I remember being mad when it first happened.
Yeah, I think you were mad about a lot of things.
Yeah, that happens. The Docking Bay podcast always chimes in for us, and they said, this is another solid episode. I'm glad you chose this album. I'd only heard the single, so I was pleasantly surprised when I liked a few more tracks. I'll give it another listen. Keep it up, and thanks for always being the best part of our Mondays, which is awesome. The Thanks for Coming podcast, which is, of course, Seth's show, says, I laughed out loud when you guys got into the main topic. I just now heard Michelle saying, oh, I'm sure I'll say something dumb. Please keep that. I love it so much. And then I let Seth know that is absolutely a permanent fixture of our album review drop, is that from Michelle. Oh, and Seth goes on to say, I also agree with Michelle that if Russ had been born in the 80s, he definitely would have been an emo kid. Another feather in your cap, Michelle. People are out here agreeing with you that I would have been an emo kid had I been born in the 80s.
I mean, it's true. I definitely believe that's what would happen.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with all of you. Moving right along. Our jammies. Okay, my Jammy Jams this week comes with a couple of things. Number one, it comes with story time, and it comes with a pre-excuse because I don't want to be canceled or yelled at or have anybody take me out on social media because I'm not in the mood to take on anybody or be taken on over social media shenanigans. Well, yeah, Kyle, I'm pretty sure you're going to agree with me on this. Okay, there is an artist named Tom McDonald who we have talked about some on the show before. I think may have been in your Jammy Jams before, Kyle. I know for a fact at one time, a listener of the show somewhere asked for your thoughts on a song by him. I know that happened, and he may have been in and out of your Jammy Jams. So here comes the story time. So the other day, I was cruising around YouTube, and there was a video by Tom McDonald about how the Billboard charts is openly evading his latest record, which is called The Brave. And they're like trying to make sure that it won't chart, even though that it keeps moving like tens of thousands of units every single week between digital and audio sales. Now, I hadn't heard not one note of this record, but the story that was on YouTube was really, really, really interesting to me to see like this artist who, I mean, he gave like very specific examples of like, let me put it this way. Disney's Encanto soundtrack is the number one album on the independent charts this week. So if you want to know, anything about how Billboard is counting who, Disney's a $97 billion company. That's not very independent, if you ask me.
Yeah. Encanto, super independent.
Yeah. Having said that, because of how well this video was done, I was like, I should totally see about this album. So I just went to Spotify and I brought up this album, which is called The Brave by Tom McDonald. Now, here's the part where I don't want to be canceled or any of this. I don't know or care anything about this guy's politics. I really don't even know what he's rapping about on the record yet because I haven't even dug in that deep. So what I'm saying is, I found this new to me artist, Tom McDonald. I listened to this record called The Brave. At a high level, I love the production. And I really liked all the rhyme schemes that I heard. I just don't want anybody coming at me being like, do you know what he said in this song? Or like, do you know what he tweeted? Like, I don't know about any of that yet. I'm just saying I heard some music that moved me, and that's what I'm sharing this week. Now, having said that, Kyle, if you want to help to preempt my cancellation, do you know anything about this guy that I don't yet?
He goes out of his way to be controversial, basically, to poke the bear, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
This record, The Brave, he did with Adam Calhoun, and Adam Calhoun is the same kind of. He's an internet personality who then turned into like some sort of rapper. Also, Adam Calhoun is terrible at rapping, by the way.
Okay. So I must not have heard much of him.
And Tom McDonald outshines Adam like tenfold on that record. But he very much is like an internet personality where he just speaks his mind and yada, yada, yada. And, you're not going to take my guns and all that kind of shit. So,
sure.
Both controversial. Both
it sounds to me like you're saying somebody would cancel me for having the nerve to say that I like this record.
No, I don't think so. He has a pretty huge fan base. You watched that video where he's explaining the numbers and stuff. He's not bullshitting. He's pretty.
Oh yeah,
up there.
Have you seen the two videos I was talking about?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Because I literally YouTube just suggested them to me, and I was like, ooh, like just based on title alone. But I thought he came off very well presented, like enough for me to be like, well, I need to hear this record.
As much as him trying to constantly be like controversial irritates me. Him and his girlfriend, they do all that shit themselves. Like he produces all that stuff himself. They shoot the videos themselves. Like he works his ass off, and it's starting to pay off.
Right.
So I can't knock him for that.
So I mean, having said that, have you've heard this record? Then
yeah.
The Brave. Okay. When again, I can't stress enough. Usually, and you know this, I go like really in depth when I start listening to records. I'm usually the first guy to be like, "Oh, those lyrics are dumb," or "Oh, the production on that track's bad." But I've only had this like as background music, and it's worked awesome for me this week. So, have you dug into it deeper than I have yet?
No, I've only listened to it once, but I like so I've been listening to him for a while. I have the first record he put out. This is the first full digital album that he's done. Everything else you have to buy the CDs of. Right. Or listen to I mean, it's on. He makes a music video for most of the songs too, but like this is the first all digital album that you could either buy digitally or listen to on like Spotify or whatever else. Gotcha. But that being said, I haven't really dug deep into this one. I've listened to it. I listened to him talking about it, and the whole 9 yards about how Billboard was kind of trying to screw them. So
yeah, it's crazy. Okay, cool. I was just wondering, like, because you're more up on this specific genre for sure than I am. So having said that, I'll just kick it over to you then. What have you been listening to?
I've been heavy into City and Color and Francis and the Lights this week.
Oh, right on. City and Color, I've heard you mention a great deal. Francis and the Lights, I know you've mentioned on the show before, but it's been a minute. So what's going on there?
And it's nothing specific. I got into, I was watching YouTube, and then a bunch of like live performances of City and Color were on there. So I've been watching that a lot, which leads me to listening to, I have most of his records on vinyl, but just in general, listening to City and Color. Right on.
Yeah, City and Color, yeah. Every time you say that you have the records on vinyl, I'm like, yeah, I know. You have Little Hell, which is the one that I always wanted.
I think actually the one I'm missing is A Pill for Loneliness. That's his newest record, I think. I don't have that one.
Gotcha.
But, and Francis and the Lights, yeah, I've talked about him before. He almost could be mentioned on this episode's topic, but he's done a lot of work with like Kanye West and other stuff like that. And it's a different kind of I don't even know what kind of music it is. You have to go and listen to it. Go whatever you listen to music on, go there and type in Francis and the Lights, and then you'll hear it. It's just different than what you normally be listening to.
Well, as mentioned by Dayton earlier, and all the credit was taken by Michelle, they can listen to our Spotify playlist, and you will put some songs on there for them,
yes.
Correct? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Right on. While Kyle and I were talking about our Jammy Jams, it would appear that Kyle and Michelle's daughter Zoe has joined the program, so you may hear her time and again here for the next segment. Michelle, would you like to make an attempt at sharing your Jammy Jams? I mean, do what you can, and we'll try and get through this.
Is she eating the microphone?
Yeah, she keeps grabbing at it, and now she's staring at me like I'm stupid. This week I have two Jammy Jams. The first one is Noah Cyrus has come back into my life.
Oh, right on
repeat, and I feel like she comes in waves. She doesn't have that much music, so like it'll come and I'll listen to her EP. LP. Anyways, I'll listen to that over and over again on repeat, and then I'll get sick of it, and then 6 months later it'll come back. So it's back in my life now.
Right.
And then Kaleo?
Kaleo?
Kaleo. I think it's Kaleo.
Oh, a third fighter has entered the ring.
Yes. At least that's how when you do on Google, like when you're driving and you ask it to play something, it just says playing Kaleo on Spotify.
Oh,
so
man.
I don't know how she would know, but yeah, I think that's how you say it now.
How long is it going to be till Zoe starts talking? Then she can go ahead and give us her version of the pronunciation.
She probably already knows it. She's very wise.
She's just keeping it. She's just keeping it to herself for now.
Yes.
Right on. Okay, so a couple of Jammy Jams from you, a couple of groups from Kyle, a way out there pick from me. Please don't cancel me over my pick. We are going to take a quick break. When we get back, what we are going to do is dive into artists and bands that we think should be much bigger and get into all the ins and outs of that whole discussion. We are going to take a break and be back to talk over that with you in just a second. You are listening to the Infectious Group Podcast on the Odd Pods Media Network.
Hi, I'm Tina Jaramillo.
And I'm Hillary Doherty.
And we host the Muck Podcast, where we discuss the dark and sometimes weird true stories in American politics.
Hey, Tina, did you know that Elvis crashed the Nixon White House for the sole purpose of getting a DEA badge, and it worked?
What? Or how a gun control advocate senator out of California engaged in gun trafficking with notorious gang leader Shrimp Boy?
Shrimp Boy, I remember him. Okay, so, we cover all of that and more from maladies, madness, mischief, and murder in U.S. politics.
And we also host a bi-weekly interview segment called Lil Muck.
We interview politicians, journalists, activists, and others who share their experiences in politics.
Find the Muck Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and check us out on social media at the Muck Podcast.
Hey, you there. We've got a question for you. Are you tired of clickbait stories and the loudest voices driving discussions in culture and entertainment?
If so, I'm Dylan.
I'm Kendall.
And I'm Corey. And we host the podcast From the Middle. We're middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives with points of view somewhere in the middle.
We take a more reasonable and centrist approach in our discussions covering genres like comedy, culture, entertainment, and interviews. with really interesting folks like business owners, comic creators, doctors, news anchors, New York Times best-selling illustrators, professional stand-up comics, and more. We really value a relaxed and conversational podcast, one that we hope is so fun and laid back, you'll forget you're not actually hanging out with us.
So search at From the Mid Pod, just like it sounds, or check us out everywhere you can find podcasts.
And we're back, and it is Russ and Kyle, and we're hoping to have an intermittent Michelle. We're going to see. As you may have heard in the first half of the episode, Zoe decided that now is not the time to record a podcast, and furthermore, she did not like that her mother had a microphone on her head. So Michelle is hoping to get in and out of this second half. And for those of you who are fans of just Michelle, maybe stick around and listen to Kyle and I, see if you like us too. You never know. You know? Having said that, we are doing a topic this week that we actually had prompted to us from two different ways. Somebody mentioned on our YouTube channel a long time ago that we should do a YouTube video on bands that, you know, really needed more love and more popularity. And then we've had this mentioned to us several times on Twitter and social media from listeners of the show that we really should talk about, like bands that we think should have been just much, much, much bigger. So we are doing that topic this week, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about bands and artists that we think should have been much bigger. I myself have a couple of examples. Michelle gave us a couple before. She went to make every attempt to rock the baby to sleep. Kyle, we will go ahead and start with you then. What are some that you think, like I only brought three that I kind of want to talk about, but what are some bands and artists you think that just should have been bigger, or even now you think should be bigger than they already are?
There is an R&B duo named Always Never. And I've mentioned them on the podcast before. They're frequently my jammy jams. The best way to describe them is they are like the kind of R&B that The Weeknd used to be before he started doing like the Super Bowl.
Right.
It's just like that dark, grungy, like R&B. I don't know. But I honestly have no clue how they're not more famous than they are, because they make these amazing music videos. Like the production is outstanding, and just I feel like they just have like an underground following. So now you might know this. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but like, do they have huge streaming numbers? Like, I mean, obviously nobody's got the streaming numbers that like The Weeknd does, but do they have like, you know, are there individual songs getting hundreds of thousands of listens and then they're just not famous? Like a lot of people listen to them, but they're not famous, or are they getting like way less listens than they should? You know, I'm not sure. I haven't, for as much as I listen to them on Spotify, I have never even dug into like whatever is streamed or whatever. Right. Yeah, I don't either. I just was wondering if you happen to know. But based upon how little I hear of them, I can't imagine that they had that they're that like up there. Right. And that's how I feel too, with at least the ones that I brought on here. And I feel like just to quickly give some mentions to the ones Michelle brought up earlier, the artist that she wanted to mention was the Lone Bellow, Parker Millsap, and Janie McPherson. And all three of those artists are artists that, as far as any time I've ever talked to any person about those three artists, they have no idea who I'm talking about. But then when you go to their shows, it's like, well, how did more people not know about this? Like, there's always a lot of people, like at least at Janie McPherson and the Lone Bellow shows. Like, Janie McPherson got tapped. He's going to open some of the upcoming Jack White tour. And it's like, you got to be a certain amount of big. You know, like somebody knows about this dude. But then when you talk to people like Kyle, I guess we'll talk on behalf of Michelle. When's the last time you mentioned J.D. McPherson or Parker Millsap to someone outside of me and Michelle and had them be like, oh, I totally know who that is? You know? No one knows who they are. Yeah, which is a crime, you know? Yeah, absolutely. And then the Lone Bellow, I know we joke a lot about the quality of country that Michelle listens to. But, you know, the Lone Bellow really leans into what I feel is the country that people complain isn't around anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like good bluegrass, real, like songs about real subjects. Like people complain all the time about what we jokingly call on the show blowjob country. You know, they're like, oh, everything is all for Florida Georgia line, and it's like, but then you mention the Lone Bellow to somebody, and they're just like, oh, well, I don't know what that is, and you're like, well, if I found it, you can. You know what I mean? As you know, if you see them live, it's like a religious experience. A religious, there you go. A religious experience. They're going to damn church. Yep. It's amazing. It's one of those things, and actually, you would be a good person to testify to this, Kyle.
before you go see Lone Bellow, if you talk to me and Michelle about it, you have to have in your mind, there's no way this is going to be as good as these people say it's going to be, you know, because like, and then you go see it and you're like, Jesus, that's as good as they said it was going to be.
Yeah, and I'm always kind of skeptical when people tell me that, because I just feel like some people like things much more than I do. So I mean, I don't know. I'm always like, oh, let's see.
I get your point, because I do that with movies. People come to me, you know, oh, it's the funniest movie ever. I'm like, no, it is not. I assure you it is not the funniest movie. You just came out of it 5 minutes ago. I'm certain your opinion's going to change. That is not the funniest movie ever made. Or the funniest movie ever made. And but yeah, with Alone Bellow, you know that. Michelle and I must have told you like a year before you saw them about, oh, Jesus, you're going to love this. It's going to be amazing. And then you go see it and you're like, holy crap, this is the one thing that isn't overrated.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
So the three that I have are all three of these bands really got their start in the 80s. Two of them are of the same genre, and one of them is completely different genre. All three of these artists, to me, somebody might even listen to the show and be like, well, what are you talking about? Those are big artists. But they should be much bigger than they are or were, in my opinion. And two bands that I think stand way far out from the genre that they're even known for is the band Tesla and the band Extreme. And if you ask anybody on earth to name a Tesla song, 9 times out of 10, they're not even going to name a Tesla song. They're probably going to say Signs, which is a cover. You know, it's like not even a Tesla song. And if they do get all excited and they know more than Signs by Tesla, they're probably going to say Love Song, which is like the default for all of those bands. Like everyone knows Every Rose Has Its Thorn by Poison. Everybody knows Patience by GNR. You know, like everybody knows the ballad.
Yeah.
To Be With You by Mr. Big, you know. And Tesla is such a better, they're like a way cut above that genre, and they never really got out of, they're most known for a cover. You know what I mean? Like they never really got out of that. And it's such a bummer because they're so much more talented. You know, I'm not saying they're over here writing Beatles lyrics or anything. I mean, they have some songs that are deeper than others, but it's just good rock music. And they never should have been pigeonholed in with, oh, that's, you know, hair metal.
Right.
And Extreme is the same way. I would imagine if you ask 100 people to name an Extreme song, the absolute most they're going to be able to come up with is More Than Words, which is the same story as Tesla. This band should be known for so much more than just that ballad. Like Kyle, I think I've shown you the Queen tribute that Extreme did. It's like the most talented thing I've ever seen one band do. That 20-minute long Queen medley that they performed at the Freddie Mercury tribute.
Yeah, when you showed me, I was like, wait, these are the same guys that sang More Than Words?
Yeah. It's like, that's the same dudes. Yeah. And that Queen medley gives you an idea of how immensely talented that band is. Like all four members of that band are on all of their material. And this band has been like, geez, man, they put out a record every couple of years all through the 90s when like nobody cared about that genre anymore, you know. But even when they were huge, or when that genre was huge, Extreme never got the recognition that they should have. Like I always thought they should have been a much, much, much bigger band. And sometimes I feel like artists like that are Extreme's like fairly normal out of the group. Like you kind of have to be dysfunctional, like an Axl or whatever, to like get all of the, I don't know, the hype and people talking about you. Maybe that's an issue with the artists that we like. They're all too normal.
Well, yeah. Then with a genre like that, and during that time, like you have all of these bands that are being crammed into the same little area at the same time. So some of them are bound to like just get stuck and then fall back.
Yep. And I would make that
happen with both of them.
I would make that argument for R&B as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, where it just happens, where it's like, we're just going to pigeonhole you into this, and these people are going to be the chosen ones that get more promotion, and these people aren't. The other one, and I'll get into this a little bit later, totally different situation, but the band Culture Club. Now, again, most people would probably say, oh, Karma Chameleon. But when you just think about Culture Club for more than 5 seconds, you know, Karma Chameleon, Miss Me Blind, Church of the Poison Mind, It's a Miracle. Like they had a huge Time Clock of the Heart. They had a huge string of hits. Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? But Culture Club, they started out great. They got a ton of attention. And we'll get into this in a minute, because my next follow-up question is like, do you think the artists that you want to be bigger, do you think there's potential for them to be bigger? And with Culture Club, there definitely was potential, but they kind of screwed that up on their own. Or I shouldn't even say they, one person in the group screwed it up for everybody else. But those are my big three. Like whenever someone says, who do you think should have been bigger? I kid you not. That's the first three artists that always pop into my mind before anybody else. So having said that, we always say that, like I said, next was going to be, do you think they could have been bigger? And for me, I'll go first on this. I think Tesla and Extreme could have been bigger if they were marketed different. I think it all comes down to marketing. Like if those bands hadn't debuted in with the group, they wouldn't have been run in with the sheep. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they're all this. I think if Extreme debuts like a year later, the whole rest of their career goes way different because they're not just the More Than Words guys and the hair metal guys that did that ballad. Same thing for Tesla, really. And then Culture Club, unfortunately, if you take the major piece out of that band, which is Boy George, you're going to miss all of the controversy and all of the things. Culture Club is one of those bands that repeatedly shot themselves in the foot. Like you couldn't come out of the gate stronger than they did. They had massive string of hits off their first two records. And really all they had to do was take the ball and keep running down the field. And Boy George just let his own ego and personal issues hold them back. So my answer on that is Culture Club could have been huge and much, much bigger and known. They could be a band like an Aerosmith, where 40 years later, they're still touring and everybody knows, a ton of hits from them. But I think they were their own worst enemy. Like, I don't think the industry held them back or anything. Do you know what I'm saying? Yep. So how do you feel about the artists that you think should be bigger? Like, do you think they could be bigger? Like is there still a chance they'll blow up or even have a resurgence, which is what I want to talk about as well. Do you think like there's any chance some of these artists could have like a retroactive resurgence?
Yeah, so the couple that I have listed are, well, we already talked about Always Never. There's a guy named Black Atlas. He also does like that dark alternative R&B stuff. Mm-hmm. I put Orville Peck on here.
Oh yeah.
Paul Cawthon, Jameson.
Right.
And then Mike Stud or Mike period.
Or Mike period.
However the hell you want to do it.
Mike something or other.
But so I kind of answered my own question with the whole Always Never and Black Atlas. They go together, right? Because so they're Canadian, and I think that they are in the air supply because of Drake and The Weeknd.
Right.
And that's also the reason why they're only as far up in the air supply as they are, is because they're competing with Drake and The Weeknd.
Right. Oh yeah. Yep.
They kind of are living in the shadow of who got them exposure to begin with, I guess you could say.
Oh yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Because it's very few and far between that somebody like Eminem was brought to the dance by Dr. Dre and then became equal to or outshined for some time. And it's rare when that happens.
Yeah. And so like people like Orville Peck and Paul Cawthon, you're talking about like Hank Williams, Johnny Cash style country that like hasn't been popular in a long time because blowjob country is what's in.
It's what's selling.
It's kind of weird for there to be like openly gay cowboy who covers his face. Like it's not like the most like politically correct thing that you would find in country music.
Right.
And it's also not the same kind of country that you would hear on the radio or whatever. So I think that's kind of what is holding them back. Paul Cawthon is not, I was talking about Orville Peck when I said openly gay. I'm not sure about Paul Cawthon, but he very much makes hilarious, hilarious songs, but he sounds like Johnny Cash or like Hank Williams or something like that.
Like classic
it's like old
country,
school country sounding.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
As far as Jameson goes, I think that he has chosen the path that he is on purpose because he wants to be able to do whatever the hell he wants and make the kind of music that he wants. Long ago, he was signed to a record deal as like a pop R&B artist under a completely different name. And then he like went away and then came back as Jameson.
Right.
And he was doing like the dark R&B thing that like I am very much a fan of, and that's how I found him and became a fan of his.
Right.
But he's like transitioned over the years into like this like funk, like this funky pop R&B like soul stuff. And it has a very, very niche sound. It has a niche following as well. And I think that he wants it that way because then he can do whatever he wants. And he still has his core fan base.
I think there's a lot to be said for that. Just doing what you want to do, regardless of, because we talked about on artists that change genres, people that are like, let me do that country thing real quick, you know, or whatever. I like an artist who wants to make what they want to make, regardless of if it's the popular way to go or not.
Yeah, he's a multi-instrumentalist. He's a producer, a writer, a singer. He does all this stuff. I mean, he's been on Kendrick Lamar song before. Like, so he's had like his foot in the door in different places, and he's written on different like very, very well-known records for people. He did an entire album with Absol, who is also signed to Kendrick Lamar's Top Dog record label. And, for whatever musical political reasons, like the record never is going to come out.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But he's done all this stuff, but I think that he fits into this little groove that he now has made for himself. And like, that's where he's comfortable and that's what he likes to do.
For sure. So we have one more big question I want to ask, but you totally made me think of an interesting question I want to throw in here. And I absolutely am putting you on the spot for this because I truly can't decide on this either since it popped into my head. Would you throw Sturgill Simpson into this as an artist who should be bigger? And let me tell you my reasoning on why I would even ask that. And then let me know what you think. And again, I realize I'm putting you on the spot here, but here's my thing. So Sturgill, he's 5 or 6 studio records in now. He's done all this genre hopping. He does these tours that tons of people are at. But when is the last time you mentioned him and didn't have to explain who he is to someone?
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a time.
You know what I'm saying? When you go, hey, what have you been listening to? Sturgill Simpson. Who's that? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like everybody you talk to is like, who's that? And then if you go, oh, well, he does, bluegrass. Oh, I don't like bluegrass. Well, he does fuzz rock. What? Like you can, his latest record's fuzz rock. Oh, well, I'm not really into that. Okay, well, he's got a bluegrass record and an R&B record and, whatever. And I find myself like, he wouldn't pop into my head first. But I also think you always have to explain who the hell he is to someone when you tell him you're listening to him.
Yep, and he shows you himself how he's like openly snubbed at like country music award shows, and like he is so talented and gets little to no recognition for what he does. And I mean, so much so that he is playing outside the award show as like a big fuck you. Like,
still one of the coolest things I've ever seen someone do.
Yeah, it's amazing. He very much is in the same category as Jameson, where he's not going to sacrifice what he wants to do for anybody.
See, that's exactly what made me think of it when you said that about Jameson. I was like, ding, Sturgill, because that dude's just Sturgill gonna Sturgill. Like he's gonna do. If you would have told me after Sailor's Guide to Earth came out, which by the way, anybody listening to this podcast, if you haven't heard that record, Kyle and I can tell you it's a masterpiece, and you should go listen to that record. It's country, it's R&B, it's got horns, it's got orchestrations, it's brilliant. If you would have told me that the next record after that was going to be a fuzz rock album that was recorded in a motel room, I would have been like, you are high and don't ever talk to me about music again, And like, that's what made me, when you said that about Jameson, I'm like, Sturgill. And you always have to explain who Sturgill Simpson is to anybody when you say that you listen to him. So you would. So then you would throw him in this category?
Yeah, I absolutely would. And but even though it's self-imposed, I believe, but like absolutely, he should be way, way higher up the totem pole than what he is. Even if he doesn't want to be up there, he should be being put up there by other people.
No, exactly. Yep. Now, see, this actually helps me on my last question, because the last question I had for us to discuss is, do you even care if these artists are bigger or not? Now, I know you well enough to know, I think your immediate reply would be, no, I don't care. I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm going to listen to what I listen to. Okay. But what you just said about Sturgill, though, see, that's how me personally, in a way, I couldn't care less if no one else has ever heard anything by Extreme but More Than Words, or if the whole world thinks that the only good song Tesla ever did isn't even their own song. But I do in a way because the artistry is so good and they work so hard. Like I wish more. Do you see what I'm saying? Like that's why it matters to me. I know I mentioned this a lot on the show, but Chinese Democracy is my favorite Guns N' Roses album, and I don't care if you like it or not. You know what I mean? I love that record. I do like when I go to GNR shows and I see more people singing along to like Better or the Blues or whatever, because I'm like, shit, more people appreciate it because I know how hard Axl worked on it. Like, I don't care if you like that song or not, but it matters to me for the artist, if that makes sense. Right. Yeah. So overall, how do you feel?
You are right to the fact that I could give 0% shit of what people think about what I listen to.
Right. Yep.
Like at all. But so I'm a huge Weeknd fan, obviously. And to see him going from playing St. Andrew's Hall to now playing the Super Bowl and like that to me is amazing for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a fucking singer from Toronto, Canada.
Do
so
you,
it's like
you take a little bit of pride in that though, right? That like you were on it and you probably talked to a lot of people about him. And now he's here, right?
And to see him at the status that he is now, as much as it pains me because I'm not a huge fan of all of the stuff he does now, like his newer music, but it very much is amazing to see. And so with Mike Stud or Mike or whatever the hell he goes by it, I should probably just ask him.
Oh yeah, do that.
How
would you like to be referred to on our show, sir?
Yeah, I tweeted at him one time and I said, this is when he was going by Mike Stud. I was like, how is Mike Stud not more famous? And he tweeted back at me and said, you know how the industry is.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn it. Like when I first heard him, I was like, he can write a catchy song. He produces, he writes, like he is everything that what you need to be to succeed in the music industry.
Except not.
Yet he can't get traction. Yeah. Right. And I think the genre of what he does is kind of it's like that college like frat boy kind of rap is what it is. Mm-hmm. Like you're rapping about partying and getting drunk and whatever. Mm-hmm. But he has good music videos. He's obviously had a budget for this stuff that he's been doing.
Right.
And like he just can't get traction. It makes me nervous for people like him or Always Never or Black Atlas because I feel like they'll just get so frustrated that they'll give up.
Exactly. Yep.
And then we'll have no more of that. So it's like, as much as I want them to, like, I don't care if they're underground and I'm the only one that listens to them. I don't care. But if eventually they're going to need to, make money and, have money coming in. So
right.
We're going to have to go work at Wendy's and make music or go into a different career and,
Right. I mean, the sustainability of it.
Yeah.
The financing of it. But also just knowing that you are making a difference. That there are people out there that, you know what I mean? Like, and I know I made reference earlier to Every Rose Has Its Thorn, but I saw an interview once with Bret Michaels. This would have been back in like 1989 or whatever. And he's like, there's no more amazing feeling in the world that even singing a simple song as Every Rose Has Its Thorn than having 20,000 people sing it back to you. Like that's validating, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't mean this in any sort of negative way because it was definitely a positive, but you take the time, you, Michelle, and I went to see Parker Millsap. And we saw him at the Magic Bag, which off the top of my head probably is supposed to seat 1,000 people. And there was maybe 50 people at that show?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he performed like there was 10,000 people.
Oh, he played like he was playing in an arena. Yeah, a packed arena.
Yeah, it was fabulous.
Yeah. And so you take something like that and you know that artist is in it for the right reasons because even, there was only 50 of us or whatever there. He played like it was 10,000. So he's there to move people regardless of the size of the crowd.
It makes me nervous because I don't want the stuff that I really like to go away. And unfortunately, when it comes to the music industry, you have to have fans and traction to be able to get, into any echelon, let alone like the upper echelon.
Right.
And then you have the music industry itself working against you the entire time. So it's like
for me, it's always been a double-edged sword because of what you said about like them needing the finances and needing the motivation to do things, But then on a very selfish note, when Tesla tours, I get to see them in a 1,000-seat place. If Tesla was as big as I think they should be, I would be a football field away from them,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's a kind of a catch-22, It's like, well, I wish more people knew about this, but then also I should be given free VIP tickets, I guess. So I'm always, I'm always close to this artist no matter what. So
I totally agree with that. I mean, like when I went and seen The Weeknd at St. Andrews, it's like I'm in this tiny little place that like. A lot of people, I mean, St. Andrews is famous, but like a lot of people have heard of it, but like a lot of people are like, yeah, well, it's just a fucking dive club that people perform at.
Right. It's definitely a place that people play on the come up, not.
Yeah. And to know that like, I'm never going to be able to see that kind of show from him ever again is kind of sad, but
yeah. He's playing a couple doors down next time he's here. He's moving the production over to a slightly larger venue, and for those of you who are not familiar with Detroit, I believe if I just say the names St. Andrews Hall and Ford Field, you'll probably understand the difference in venue size. Yeah, dude, think about that. If you go to that Ford Field show, even if you're in the first 10 rows, you are still going to be further back from that stage than you were in St. Andrews. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
man,
with the guardrails and all that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it was general admission, so it was just cram yourself up as far as you can go, and I was cramming myself up as far as I could go.
I've been to that show, man. Yeah,
I could have he could have tossed his microphone to me. That's how close I was to him.
Yeah,
Like, it was awesome.
Yeah, and like even if you're in like 10th row at Ford Field, you're still going to be further away than that because you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, so this has been a fun discussion, a Michelle-less discussion. So I feel like we got a lot more accomplished. Maybe
there was a lot less confusion going on.
yeah. There was. We paused less times for confusion than normally. Next week on the program, we have a Twitter user who supplied us with a whole huge list of and reasons for picking each album that they would like for us to pick for album reviews. The user on Twitter's name was Blue Sky 28, and I have that list, and we're going to go through that list and pick out an album from your list for us to review next week. So next week will be a album review picked by a listener, and I just need to go through that and figure out exactly which one, because not only did they give us a list of albums, but they gave us like a good reason for each record, like why they wanted to hear our thoughts on it. So I think that's rad. So that will occur next week, and hopefully Zoe will sleep through the whole episode next week, or learn to speak and join the show by next week. Either way, like we always say about this time, without music, life would be a mistake. Bye.
The Infectious Groove podcast is hosted by Russ Robinson, Kyle Wimple, and Michelle Koselecki. Produced and edited by Russ Robinson. Intro and outro music composed by Chris Kimmel. Opening credits read by Stacey Robinson. Recorded with a Rode Podcaster Pro and Rode